All right, this is the Geometry Unit 3 review video. I'm going to go over our review here and kind of tell you what you need to be focusing on to get ready for the test. So first things first, these different line relationships. It says here you need to know the definitions of and be able to identify the relationship between lines in a diagram. So when I say know the definitions, I mean you need to know the definitions of these 5 pairs of lines. And when I say definitions, I mean the definitions from the unit. So you need to go back and do that. You are responsible for going and finding those definitions. I'm not giving them to you in this review. You've already gone over that material and you should have notes from those lessons. So you need to do that. Now, in terms of identifying, this is very similar to the diagram you're going to see on the test. I have made up other problems to go with it than what you are going to see on the test so that you know what to expect. So when it says here in number 1, PM and ON are blank lines, you need to be choosing from one of the choices over here. So which one of those fits in that blank? So let's look at PM and ON. So PM is here, ON is here. Those lines go the same direction. They don't intersect. So to me, that means they are parallel lines. All right. Next says QR is perpendicular to, all right, QR, and it's this one right here, this line QR right here. Well, I see a box right here. That tells me that it's perpendicular to this line. So that's going to be line MQ. Now, it might very well be perpendicular to other lines in the diagram, but I think it's easiest to say that QR is perpendicular to MQ because of this box right there. All right. NR and PM are blank lines. Those lines are not in the same plane. They don't intersect. So they're going to be skew lines. That's kind of the key concept of skews. They're kind of off, going in different directions from each other, not touching, but not in the same plane. So they are skew. And then it says this, TS is parallel to, okay, so TS. Now, TS could be parallel to QR. It could be parallel to PO. Either one would be a good answer because they need to go the same direction. So we'll just say QR is the answer there. All right, so that's what you need to do on those. Let me get this fixed. So this is actually in the same color. All right. All right, let's look at our next one. Next section. Excuse me. Using the slope and y-intercept, are the following pairs of lines parallel, perpendicular, concurrent, or coincident? Real quick, this is coming from something we learned in our previous unit. Let me open this. Looking right here, you can see that, I'm going to archive that. Here we go. All right. Remember, lines are parallel when their slopes are the same. Their y-intercepts are different. Coincident lines are same slope, same y-intercept. See that here. Perpendicular lines are lines which don't have the same slope, and their slopes multiply to make -1. And then everything else falls into the concurrent category. So what you're going to do is just go through these and see which one of these options matches the thing that I'm working on. So let's hop over here. So let's write down our slope and y-intercept for these lines. My slope of my first line, we'll call this line 1, call this line 2. The slope of the first line is 3/2, and the y-intercept is -4. In line 2, the slope is -2/3, and the y-intercept is 7. So right away, these lines do not have the same slope. They are not going to be parallel or coincident because they have different slopes. One's 3 over 2, the other's negative 2 over 3. So then the question becomes, are they perpendicular? In order to find if they're perpendicular, I multiply 3 over 2 times negative 2 over 3, and I see what I get as my answer. Well, the 3's cancel, the 2's cancel, leaving me with negative 1. And that is the number I'm looking for. Okay, so if you remember over here, I'll jump over here to the notes again. If the slopes multiply to make negative 1, there it is. If the slopes multiply to make negative 1, then those lines are perpendicular. So that is what I get. So I hop back over to my problem, not that one. And I see they multiply to make negative 1. So these lines are perpendicular. All right, looking at my next one. It says negative 4x plus 7 and negative 4x minus 1. The slope of line 1 is negative 4, and the y-intercept is 7. The slope of line 2 is also negative 4, and the y-intercept is negative 7. So these have the same slope. Again, looking at my notes, I can see that lines that have the same slope but different y-intercepts are parallel. But if they have the same slope and the same y-intercept, they're going to be coincident. So let's go see, do we have different slope parallel or same slope coincident? And we have same slope, negative 4. So that checks out. Those are the same, but the y-intercepts are not. So then those are going to be parallel. All right, now my last problem, one of my lines is already done. So I can see I have a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 6. But the second line is not ready to be looked at. So I have to first put it in y equals mx plus b form. To do that, I move the x. We went over this in the lesson video. And I get 2y equals 6x plus 12. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. I get y equals 3x plus 6. The slope of line 2 is 3 and the y-intercept is 6. So you can see they have the same slope, same y-intercept. I won't make us go back and look at the notes, but we do know that the answer is the lines are coincident. You need to go look at that again. That's fine. Make sure you have that ready. So what I'm telling you is you need to have the notes about how to tell the lines apart with you when you sit down to the test. And this is what the questions are going to be looking like. You need to identify the slope and y-intercept and then tell me what the lines are. Next thing is really, really basic. You need to be able to determine positive, negative, 0, and undefined lines just by looking at simple diagrams. This is not calculating the slope. This is as basic as this. Positive looks like that. Make a thicker line here. Positive, negative, 0, undefined. Needs to be a little bit better. Undefined. So this is what you need to be doing right here. You need to be looking for these shapes, these basic shapes of lines. If straight up and down is what we call undefined, straight across is 0, and then of course positive and negative. That is the information you need right there. You don't need to know anything more than what you see here. Lastly, it says define the following angle relationships. So that means you need to look up the definitions from the unit and identify the angles in a diagram that have the relationships. So the first thing is you need to look up the definitions. You need to know the definition of these terms, period. Then you need to be able to look at a diagram like we have here and tell me angle 1 and angle 5, what are they? So let's highlight those, angle 1 and angle 5. Which of these categories do they fall into? I'll tell you right now, those are corresponding. That's what you would write there. That is what you have to do. So you need to study what they look like in relationship to one another. Okay, let's look at the next one. 8 and 2. 8 and 2. Those are same side and exterior. Same side, exterior. Having images in front of you will be the way to do this. You need to know what those things look like. All right. Next says 3 and 6. There's 6, there's 3. Those are alternate, and they are interior. Alternate, interior. Remember, this is the interior, this out here, and this out here are the exterior. So that's an important concept, obviously. Lastly, 7 and 2, 7 and 2. Those are alternate, exterior. And that's it. So that's the material from the test. So what you see here and what you'll see on the review thing that I'll release is what you see here. So just know the definitions are a key component. Do not neglect studying for the definitions for the lines you see in this and also the angle relationships you see here. All right, that is it for the review video. Please reach out to me if you need help, and good luck on the test.